My original intent for watching the interview between Nia Long and Jeezy was to see if Jeezy would reveal anything that confirmed my prediction from 2 years ago, saying that him and Jeannie Ma would get a divorce. But ultimately, what I left the interview thinking was, damn, was this Jeezy's interview or Nia Long's interview? And since she talks so damn much, now I know why Inmate cheated. And in this video, I'm gonna reveal Nia Long's red flags and why you should avoid women like her. I learned a long time ago from my parents getting a divorce and just growing up in the divorce culture. You know, we all know that phrase, there's his side, her side, and then there's the truth. And I think the truth comes out over time. And so in this video, this was the first time that I really had an opportunity to see Nia Long speak at all, right? And I know what my perception of Nia Long is from just growing up. So I didn't want to let that get in the way and for me to automatically prosecute or, you know, pass judgment on the relationship. And ultimately, I'm not saying that Ime Udoka is right, but after I go through some of these red flags that I'm getting ready to get into, I could totally see how there could be friction in their relationship. So I just want y'all to keep in mind as I'm playing these clips that I wanted to be team Nia Long. But when she made these statements, it made me question my alliance. Without further ado, let's get into the clips.
You know, I had a really public breakup recently. But you know, I had to realize for myself that anything that happened in the last, year and a half of my life, that shouldn't have nothing to do with me. Because the relationship was rocky for a very long time. So, because I don't believe another person can break anyone up.
When I heard her say this, I was like, okay, you knew it was rocky. You're not saying why it was rocky. You're not revealing a whole lot about it. To me, it sounded like she was avoiding accountability, which is a minor red flag because it's a human tendency for us to avoid accountability sometimes. But that was the first thing that she said, and I was like, okay. And I was still rolling with her. And then she said this.
The reason I know that you're guarded is because when I was in high school, I only dated drug dealers.
Oh, really?
Oh my God, that's where I was. I lived in South Central LA. That's what it was.
Wow. I would have never thought that.
Really?
Nah.
Yo, did you see Jeezy's face? Once again, this is me, y'all. I'm one of them type of individuals where I believe in extending grace. I'm not one of those super rigid red pill guys. It's like, you know, at the end of the day, like, nah, I'm like, okay, she grew up in Compton in the 80s. So if she was around, you know, drug dealers and things of that nature, that was probably the majority of the individuals that was around. So I'm like, okay, but it's a red flag because it's a party of selection, but it's a small red flag, just like the accountability. I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay. You know, you're not taking accountability. All you dated was drug dealers. Come on now. And I was still rolling with Nia. But then she said this.
But that's what we got to find to have a medium.
I didn't have enough examples in my own life to like understand what it really meant or what it really means to see a relationship between a man and a woman that is healthy and balanced. And you work through things instead of like every conversation is not an argument.
Right.
Any man that's in a relationship with Nia Long would have to argue with her because she's highly opinionated. And if you push back on her opinions, it's going to be a problem. I just want y'all to pay attention to Jeezy body language as he's saying, wow, wow. And now he's went from wanting to express himself to holding his head. She's giving him a headache because she won't listen and she can't stop talking about herself. Let me play that clip one more time.
But that's what we got to find to have a medium.
I didn't have enough examples in my own life to like understand what it really meant or what it really means to see a relationship between a man and a woman that is healthy and balanced. And you work through things instead of like every conversation is not an argument.
Right.
And I don't think black men and black women have those conversations enough.
Now, once again, these are minor red flags, but when you listen to what Nia Long is saying, she's talking about how she was raised. And once again, I extend grace on that. You don't have nothing to do with your father not being there. You don't have nothing to do with your mother not being there. But This is a red flag. I try not to hold that against people because they don't have a whole lot to do with that. But where I do start holding it against people is when they use it as an excuse instead of filling in those holes and doing the work that they need to do in order to transform their mindset around relationships. But I ain't gonna lie, y'all. We look at the lack of accountability. We look at the dating history, and now she hitting me with the family history, and it's starting to get a little bit difficult for me to rock with Nia, for real.
Women are supposed to just be able to be feminine and soft, still
God damn it,
be in your power, still be successful, still be mothers, professionals, famous, whatever it is. We can be all of the things, right?
Okay, here's another red flag. You cannot be all of the things. Did she say anything about being a wife? The problem right here is twofold, right? The first problem is entitlement. Women are supposed to have this. Women are supposed to be this. They supposed to be feminine. They supposed to be soft. We don't even know what that means, but everything is about her. Everything is about her. And the person that she's not talking about right now, that she's expecting to provide all of this, is her husband. And you saying that you're supposed to be all the things, but what about what your husband wants you to be? If being a wife is not your first priority and you don't do it with pride and joy and love, you're not gonna have a happy relationship because the whole time you're gonna be thinking to yourself that you were sacrificing. You're gonna have some built up resentment because you didn't prioritize being a wife. Let's look at the next clip.
We can't connect because we're doing too much time fighting each other.
Absolutely.
Instead of fighting for the relationship.
Or fighting for love and understanding and commitment and compassion and...
God damn it. Okay, this is in the interview. This is where I started to get annoyed, right? Black women love to give black men advice. You know, in this particular instance, I'm not sure if you peeped this or not, but Jeezy was saying something, and then she offered an alternative. Now, the whole time Nia Long been talking, Jeezy been letting her rock out. He haven't tried to edit nothing she said. He haven't tried to offer no alternatives or change her way of thinking. She's turned into the therapist. She's turned into the relationship guru. When black women get in relationships, a lot of times, instead of them being your wife, they become your mom. You know what I'm saying? And that's very annoying. And you looking at men like Jeezy, who got a real estate empire, who's done all of these things, and still throughout this interview, 98% of the advice that was given was Nia Long giving him advice on how to handle relationships, when she's admitting in the same interview that she's a failure when it comes to relationships. Please make this make sense to me. So now I'm thinking to myself, is this what Ime Udoka had to deal with? Let's listen to the next clip.
But what has always hurt me to the core is, why is there this dismantlement of the black family? Why isn't it that black men and black women can't sit like you and I are sitting in a space and have really open dialogues about things and work through the trauma?
So I'm so glad that she asked that question. Why can't black people sit down like her and Jeezy sitting down and have a dialogue? And based off me looking at this conversation between Nia Long and Jeezy, this is not the kind of conversation a husband would want to have with his wife. Nia Long is not aware that 80% of men don't want to talk to a woman in the way that her and Jeezy is talking right now. Also, she's not aware of the fact that she's dominating the conversation, and the reason why men and women can't sit down and have these conversations is because women don't have the emotional space for men. When I was blue pilling my thinking, I had hopes, dreams, and wishes that men and women could be able to sit down and have these conversations, because I realized in my own life that when I would try to sit down and talk to women, or when I would try to be quote unquote vulnerable, that a lot of times the responses and things that I would get, it would be like, oh, since you're talking about your vulnerabilities, let me talk about my vulnerabilities. We can't just focus on your vulnerabilities now. We all got to get on the victim train. And so that's not going to work. So look, we got a lack of accountability, questionable dating history, questionable family history, an opinionated mama bear, and entitlement. And I'm going to keep it all the way real. When a lot of women start talking about entitlement, I start to get a little nervous because I'm not sure if they're feminists or not. All right, let's watch this next clip.
There's nothing more important to me than Black people.
I smell BS.
The journey of being Black in America is not easy. And I'm not a victim to any of it.
Right.
But I'm realistic to the journey.
Right.
I know how I am treated differently in certain situations.
One of the things that I realize about Black women in particular is a lot of times they love to sit around Black men and talk about being pro-Black, but they have a very difficult time being submissive. They tend to be very rebellious. They don't really believe in the structure that is necessary for Black people to actually build with each other. And I'm gonna show you how that's playing out.
But if I trust you.
Where does the trust come into play?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's because we Black people are raised that way.
Right.
Like
This
that's kind of
person,
part of
they're
our
trying to
culture.
hurt me, so I gotta.
So in that particular clip, they were talking about a woman following a man's leadership. And Jeezy said, what about trust? And I just want you to be aware of the fact that she used her Blackness as an excuse for the lack of trust. And this is what I'm saying about a lot of women that be talking a pro-Black thing. I don't think a lot of times Black women are aware of how much they really be asking Black men to put up with. And this is why passport bros exist. I mean, the victim Olympics are crazy. Yo, you go to places where people really struggling, where people really going through stuff, and they don't even have as much trauma. I think in a lot of ways, man, trauma is a privilege. Cause look, it's phenomenal watching how Black women do the matriarchal twisting and they dip and bend and flip. And this is why you gotta be careful of the red flags. Because one moment she talking to you about Black power, the next moment she talking to you about Black plight, and why you gotta be able to accept the bipolar actions of her not accepting your leadership. She not bipolar when it come to accepting your money. She not bipolar when it come to all of the things she benefit from. But all of a sudden, when it come to your leadership, now it's gotta be all nuanced and it's gotta be this, that, and the third. And this is why I say it's a red flag. You gotta look out for that. She'll be talking to you about Black power. And then when you say, well, why don't you trust me, baby, in leading the family? Well, it's because how I was raised. This is where Nia Long completely lost me. I said, you know what? I gotta make the video. The next couple of clips I'm gonna play rocked my world and really showed me who she really is. It's not just where she's hurt. It's really like an ideology that she's formed that's like a cancer. Let's listen.
You have to make yourself smaller to stay, to survive.
1000% agree with you.
Or you may not, I think for a woman, it means you have to make yourself smaller to feel like you're fitting into this space with this person who's not ready yet.
Right.
Now, this is where it starts to get crazy in the interview because Jeezy is saying, I 100% agree with you, right? Now, he's saying as a man, I agree with you that you have to get smaller in relationships when you with somebody that doesn't want to do the work. Right? But when he agrees with her, what she then does is says, well, for women, right? And one of the things that was revealed in this interview that was like I said, I'm trying to stick with Nia Long. Like, for y'all, how you love Nia Long, I love Nia Long. I grew up watching Nia Long. I think every young Black man had a crush on Nia Long. So I was rooting for Nia Long. I'm like, man, this is her first interview out. Like, I'm ready. Like, I'm like, yeah, like, I want to hear what she got to say. You know, I might even slip up and get back into my blue pill ways. I'm like, I can't wait to hear what the queen got to say. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then she comes on and she starts talking. And that's one of the biggest things that I realized, because I haven't always been red pill. One of the biggest things that I realized about a lot of women, Black women, is that they're feminists. And so whether they know it or not, they'll be quick to shut you down and say, now let's focus on the women. Let's focus on the problems with women. In this situation, Jeezy was like, I completely understand. And she was like, nah, bruh, you don't understand. I think women deal with this more so, making themselves smaller. And I was like, damn, these are the red flags. Like, the crazy thing about red flags is like, yo, if you don't catch the red flags, then it's just like, for women, if you want a man and you don't catch the red flags and then you end up coming back like, why didn't I get him? Like, what happened? Like, you did something that really rubbed him the wrong way. And for men, if you don't catch these red flags, you're going to be unhappy because you're going to be in there talking to somebody that's a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a scientist, like a straight up know-it-all. She's going to give you a bib and a bottle, even though you're a millionaire. You're going to be like, yo, I'm going to Strokers. I'm going to Blue Flame. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to King of Diamonds. I'm out of here because I'm a grown man. Like, I don't need no mom. You're going to get tired of her invalidating you and things of that nature. And I know Nia Long went through some things, so I extend a little bit of grace. But to me, this is where she starts showing her feminist mindset, just like pieces of her feminist mindset start coming out. And I was hoping that it would stop, but she kept giving us more. Listen.
I don't like to fail at anything.
Me either.
I don't
want to lose. I don't want to fail.
Won't you write your list and I'll write mine?
Listen,
right.
I want to see whose list is longer because I got some shit on my list.
Right.
I don't know about yours.
It's hard, because women have it, their own thing they go through, but then when you deal with men,
he was making that concession right there because the whole show then turned into a man versus woman thing where it was like every time he tried to say something about men, it was invalidated or women issues were pushed ahead of men or men's problems were ignored or equated to the same thing as women. And so at this point, Jeezy just saying, damn, can I get a little bit? Will she give him a little bit? Will she give him a little bit of sympathy? He's crying out for help.
And you have that hard exterior. It's hard, right? Because we already fighting the world. You know what I'm saying?
But so are we.
Nope, no sympathy for you. I wanted to expose this red flag because in this particular clip, every time Jeezy was saying something, she was like, I bet you my list longer than yours. Oh, you don't even know my story. So now this man going through a divorce, he like, man, I wanted to come sit down and talk to my sister. And at the end of the day, him and his sister are now in competition for who is grieving more or for who is sadder. You show me your scar, I'll show you my scar. This was like the second sign of the feminist mindset that I saw in the interview. Now it's really a man versus woman conversation. It's not simply just a therapy conversation or him being able to express himself and have space as a man. So it's two things you need to take away from this clip. Everything is like a one-up. And the second thing that I want you to take away from this clip is how she believes that women are equal to men, which are two major red flags. This feminist mindset that got women thinking like you equal to a man, your struggle is equal to a man. Men gotta be out in the world. Where Nia Long been at? When the last time she put out a movie? If a woman at home and she chilling and she been with her man, it's all good. She don't gotta be out here in the world. So I was upset when I sort of found out that Nia Long was a feminist because I didn't really know that because I haven't heard anything from her. But when she said this, I was like, damn. So now, this to me, this was the straw that broke the camel's back, right? I came in rooting for Nia. I'm in the ring, I'm fighting for Nia. You know what I'm saying? I done got hit with a straight right, a left hook, a uppercut. You know what I mean? I'm like barely holding on. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, Nia, you making it real hard right now. And then she said this.
I think women want leadership. They want to feel protected.
do they want leadership?
Well, it depends on the woman.
Right, yes, sir.
It depends on the woman, right?
Right.
And it depends on where you're leading me. Because if you're
Right.
leading me someplace where I don't want to go, then no.
Right.
We're not doing that.
Right.
But if I trust you,
Well, where does the trust come into play?
This is where we talk about conditional femininity. This whole thing of I'm going to go where you lead me if I like where you leading me, but if I don't like where you leading me, then no, I'm not going to go. let's take the extremes out because people love to be extreme. When women make this statement, this is where I basically say recreational use only. This is not somebody that you want to be in a relationship with. That's it. I'm not saying that M.A. Udoka was right. I'm just saying I understand. I understand, man. But look, unfortunately, I have to put Nia Long in the same category that I put a bunch of other black female celebrities, such as Alicia Keys, Beyonce, Gabrielle Union, and Jada Pinkett. They revealed their feminist mindset and their agenda. And ultimately, feminists are man eaters. You know what I'm saying? They eat men for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, based on the comments I seen about this video, I already know I'm gonna get a whole lot of backlash because it was so many people like, oh, this was such a great interview. Y'all energy was so good together. And when I saw these comments on these videos, I said, damn, you know, I really hate that I gotta come in and be a contrarian. If you looked at this interview and you got a lot out of this interview, then I'm just afraid that you might be running in the wrong direction. I thought this interview was really a little bit more cringeworthy, and I really thought that Jeezy revealed a lot of things about himself that I was like, man, I wish men would really get out of that blue pill mindset. And Nia Long ended up revealing a lot of things about herself, and I didn't think that she did a good job of doing the interview, but I said, you know, some grace should be extended. Obviously, Nia Long is not an interviewer, she's an actress, so I really wasn't even mad at the fact the interview didn't go so well. I was really more so just looking at the dynamics between a man and a woman, sitting down having a conversation, and some of the similarities that always come up when, you know, men and women have a conversation, especially black men and black women. So I feel like it's only right for me to do this. This was supposed to be Jeezy's interview on Jeezy's network, and ultimately Jeezy had a purpose for doing the interview. So I want to play the final clip so you can see what his purpose was for sitting down, even doing this interview with Nia Long.
As a man, I just hope that women, our women, black women in particular, could see this.
Yeah.
And give us a safe space. Really, women all the way across the board, because we as men, like, we're hurt. I hope you understand how many lives this is going to affect and change, because I promise you, a lot of the anger and resentment and the dumb shit that men do is coming from a place of not being able to be seen or heard, right? We're demonized, and I can only imagine what it's like on the woman's side.
The reason why Jeezy had to say, and I can only imagine what it's like on the woman's side, is because the whole interview, this was the closing part, but the whole interview, she kept, every time he would talk about something with men, she would bring up something about women. And so Jeezy's like, and I know, like, just let me get this out. Men are going through a lot. And so this was Jeezy's hope for this particular forum. Like I said, Jeezy is going through what he's going through right now. And he's saying, look, I'm being as vulnerable as I could possibly be. If you want to avoid situations like this, watch my video below about how to avoid women like Courtney Michelle, where I reveal the red flags of modern women. Peace.